Hi, my name is Paco Nathan. I'm with O'Reilly Media, and it's a great pleasure to be here with my friend Holden Karau. She's from Google Cloud Platform, and we're also joined by a couple other colleagues, Boo and Toki.
Thank you.
Thank you, Holden.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
We were talking a little bit earlier. I'd like to go into more detail about one of the themes I see here at this instance of Strata is really a lot more integration of different frameworks. In some cases, ones I wouldn't have expected. But.
Right. Yeah. I think this is pretty key. Essentially, no one wants to keep moving their data between all of these different frameworks, yeah. And our tools are good at a few specific things, but maybe not everything. And so Apache Beam is one of the things that obviously Google is working on, pretty excited about. And it's maybe not like 100% there in terms of the integration, but you can see sort of the roadmap that it's going down with trying to integrate different backends. And also some interesting work now happening on trying to integrate the different SDKs. And so right now, essentially, each SDK or language has to be targeted to each backend specifically. But the idea is that as the number of backends starts to grow and we have more of these integrations, there's sort of a unified API for all of the different front ends to talk to, so they don't have to be aware of all of the different backends. And so, like for example, the Python people can just run anywhere. I mean, it doesn't work, but it'll work soon, probably. Or at least my employer sincerely hopes that it will work soon.
Excellent. I can imagine on both sides of the equation there, but certainly for the developers, having a much smaller matrix of what parts have to fit with which is a lot better.
And I think also there's like what makes it simpler for the people who are developing Beam, and that's great and all, but most people don't really care, right? Like my life can be hard, and that's we're friends, so you care if my life is hard, but yes. Random strangers on the internet don't really give a fuck. But I think one of the things which is really interesting is as we sort of see these unifications happening, you start to see the potential for people from the different languages to work together, right? We have these ideas of essentially there's the Go people, and they're sort of in this Go silo, and then there's the Python people, and they're in this Python silo, and there's no magical tool is going to fix the communication issues at your company, right?
Sure.
If your Go people don't talk to your Python people, our software can't fix this. But provided that people are actually interested in working together, it makes it possible for them to do this.
Well, and I can also see that the different communities have such different strengths. I mean, the Python community is just incredible variety in terms of machine learning and what's implemented.
Yeah.
But if you want to get into systems, you probably want to be working in Go.
Right.
If you want to work in big data, probably there's some Java somewhere.
Totally. I mean, the JVM, I will never escape it, and it haunts my dreams. But I think this is especially important because now we're seeing a lot of data sources coming online, like IoT data sources, which tend to actually require systems programmers to work in, right? And so we're seeing these data sources come in, and if they have to switch between 3 different languages to get their job done, that's a little frustrating, right?
So it's not just about getting programming environments to talk to each other, it's really about communities of people being able to talk to each other.
And I think I think when we all work together, we make better software, right? The Go people think about things that I just don't think about, and those things are important even in my domain. They're maybe not as important, but I'm just completely blind to them, and so they'll come, and then we can make this way more awesome product.
Wonderful. Well, so we have sort of 3 families there. There's Go and probably anything that could compile with C++. There's Python, similar, also JVM. What about other languages that would be in the mix?
I mean, you also see highly specialized languages like CUDA and stuff like this. That's maybe you probably wouldn't write a front-end SDK for CUDA, but you definitely want to make sure that you can integrate nicely with CUDA in places where it makes sense.
Boo is a CUDA programmer, if I recall.
No? Boo focuses mostly on barking. And so she actually sticks primarily to interpreted languages. It gives her the flexibility to change her barks as they come up.
I imagine really it's the end UX that's important for that.
It is. It's very important. You have to be very rapid and responsive.
I know there's a lot of controversy, the whole thing about hyperbarking and microbarks. All this, I'm not going to really get into that just yet.
Okay, so we can save microbarking and all of these wonderful discussions for another time. But I think Boo has some important thoughts on this matter.
Wonderful. Well, I think as far as what you're describing with different kinds of frameworks being integrated, it's a larger narrative, right? I mean, we're seeing this also with, say, like Spark and TensorFlow.
Yeah, no. So there's like the TensorFlow and Spark project. There's a lot of other things happening in this space. And I mean, Cafe on Spark and all of these things, right? Exactly. It's essentially like our silos just, we have to break out of them to really get work done, right? Like they've served us well historically, right? That's why they got built, but we have to collaborate to actually solve business problems.
From the exec briefings, I mean, when you look at the big consulting firms like McKinsey and Deloitte and all these, I mean, that's the number one thing that they run into. They say that breaking down the silos is really what's hampering a lot of companies from being able to adopt machine learning or just being data-driven in general.
No, totally.
Fantastic. There's also a lot going on with, say, Apache Arrow too.
There is. And so I think Apache Arrow is really exciting. Specifically, I think about it mostly from the Spark area because that's just sort of my background.
Sure.
And it actually fits into the TensorFlow stuff as well. There's an open Jira right now for making Arrow feeder format for TensorFlow. This is in the open source community, so who knows what will end up happening from Jira to pull request to merge code. There's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts made in there. But I think it's really exciting seeing sort of a common format for interchange between the different languages. And it doesn't, there's obviously some limitations. Arrow is it's columnar focused, and that doesn't make sense for everyone. And certainly for some types of streaming data, especially, that can be a little tricky. If you want to avoid micro-batching, right? You have some limitations there. But it's really nice. In Spark 2.3, we've got Arrow integrated for Python UDF acceleration. And depending on which set of vendor benchmarks you believe, this is either the Messiah, we've been completely saved, there is no more overhead for working in Python, please buy my latest product, or we've gotten a good 80% of the way there. We've got a lot more things to fix, like for example, we still serialize it over a wire protocol rather than doing shared memory buffer, but it is so much better than where we were.
And there's momentum.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, there's movement in the right direction.
There's people working on it, and I think really the key part is that especially the challenges in systems like Spark is that because there's so many people going in different directions, it's seeing people from IBM and Databricks and Two Sigma all sort of pulling in the same direction, along with NVIDIA also pulling in the same direction. When everyone finally agrees to walk in the same place, open source is amazing. Until we agree which direction to head in, open source makes me drink. But it's okay.
Well said. Thank you very much, Holden. I really appreciate it.